You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners on March 13th at 5:30. And first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the February 13th meeting.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second. Oh, Janice seconded.
Okay. All right, report of the chief.
Oh, got to vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right, the report of the chief for our March meeting here. In your packets, not only did you have your monthly statistical report, but also we included the CALEA accreditation summary report.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, if you had the opportunity to go through it, there's a lot of information in there. And that spawns out of the site visit that we went through and a lot of the work that we put forth prior to that. But as you can see, the level of detail and how many standards and that you must comply with. So we got a very favorable report, so that puts us on track for a hopeful award in July. So we will keep our fingers crossed, but I think we're in very good shape.
Oh, absolutely.
The other thing about the CALEA process is now it just doesn't end. We don't get a reprieve. At this point, we have to show continuous monitoring and proofs as we move forward. This puts a lot of pressure and work on Dominique, the crime analyst, as well as Lieutenant Carangelo. So this isn't something now that we can just look at this fancy report and stop. It's something that's going to be continuous. So all in all, again, I thought it was a really good team effort. And again, Lieutenant Carangelo and Dominique put a lot of work into that. And thank all of you that participated, as well as the other officers. As you see in the brief, some of the interviews. And they want to see that, especially our high liability policies, that we're not only abiding by the standards, how we report, and the knowledge that the officers have. So they did interview several officers and several bosses. And all in all, we did pretty well with that report. As far as the forfeiture report, we've received a couple deposits that come in. They total about $7,000. There's just a little lag before it hits our book, so we should see a little bit more in that account, maybe north of 70 for next month. I'll report back to the commission when that clears our munis system. One thing I want to highlight under the chief's report, when we talked about the budget, I had moved some money from our holiday overtime line and moved that into our regular overtime line. And I want to keep this on the radar. We're seeing a significant increase in overtime related to our risk protection orders. That was something new that started back in June, and then October we got some guidance, and it really is causing a lot of overtime because the officers have to come in, they have to have the RPO reviewed by a prosecutor, and then if it's cleared for approval to present in front of the judge, it takes 2 officers to go there. And some of these are very time sensitive. So say it's 10 o'clock at night, they do the RPO, they send it in for review, it's emailed back, they have to come back in that next morning, drive down to New Haven Superior Court, meet with the judge, get it signed. In talking with our counterparts throughout the state, everyone's going through this. There is a few minor legislative changes that are being proposed. I don't think they'll have a significant impact. I think this is something that we're going to be making a normal part of our business. But John, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're north of 20 or 27,000 at this point.
Yeah, it was north of 20,000 in overtime, and that was since maybe October. Where it really ramped up on the RPOs.
So could you just talk that for a second? Not an exact example, but a typical example. How does this work?
So we've always had, statutes on the books that allowed us to, what we used to call an at-risk warrant. So if someone was a danger to themselves or others, we had the ability to petition the court to take their weapons from them. They've enhanced that. They've changed some of the language in there. So in simple terms, pre the change in RPOs, we would get someone who maybe wanted to harm themselves or made suicidal statements. We would ship them to the hospital and it would end there. Now it's pretty much a bright line that we have to apply for an RPO. And basically there's two tracks with the RPO. One is it's just basically putting them on a list that says they cannot obtain weapons, meaning that they can't go apply or go out of state and try to get a long gun. It'll flag them in the system. But with that, they're also entitled to a hearing. So now we're seeing court call-ins for the hearings also. So not only the officers coming in for the initial application of the RPO, now they have to come back for the hearing that's held at court. And what we're seeing is the vast majority of people don't show up for these hearings. Either they don't understand the process or they choose not to show up, but we still have to be physically present, thus driving up the overtime. The other part, or the other track of that, also speaks towards what we used to call the at-risk warrant, where we're going to actually do a physical search warrant for their residence to seize weapons from them. That is the same type of process, a little more in depth. Again, that's the second part of it. But the first one that I'm speaking of, where we would put them on a flag list of weapons prohibition, that is not necessary. That is newer in the sense that that's another avenue now that we have to do. The deputy did a great job. We got some initial guidance from the state's attorney's office. There's still some vague, discretionary points, but we crafted a policy, and simply our policy is essentially a zero tolerance. We're encouraging our officers, apply often, apply it all the time. I'd rather that they get rejected than not, because the discretion is getting pushed over towards us. So we are seeing some that are getting refused, which is fine, but it has become a normal course of business for us almost every shift.
It's daily. Several a day are going down, at least 2 a day. So
this is just something to keep. I do anticipate if we stay on track. I probably underestimated the overtime impact for the next fiscal year.
Wow.
We'll obviously try to cut corners other ways. We are very frugal as far as changing shifts, and if someone's working, we try to pull them to do it, but we are still having officers having to come in and get overtime to go to these court appearances. And we've not experienced this frequency and the severity of it pre-October. So this is a legislative change that is swinging into our operation, and we're going to get through it. But we have a very good policy. Hopefully, as these things mature, we start getting some different decisions and some interpretations, and maybe we'll see some changes. But for now, that's where we are.
The RPOs, are they issued for domestics as well?
They're overlaid. They could be overlaid in that situation. So domestics, you would have protective order or restraining orders that would prohibit you from having weapons, and this also could overlay. So there is some bleed over into different areas. Other news to report, through the DOT and the T2 Center, which is a Connecticut Training and Technical Assistance Center up at UConn, we were identified for some of our accidents and speeding. I'm sure most communities were also identified. They're going to give us 2 speed signs for free under this program. Again, we have a pretty good inventory of them now. They are costly, but March 23rd we'll have someone pick them up, and we'll.
What do they cost?
Depending on what you wanted to do, and either whether report back data or just flash, they can go anywhere from $5 to 14 to 12,000, depending on what you
Really?
wanted to do,
Wow.
whether they're solar or not. So Lieutenant Ramey is actually, we do have some capital money. Every year we put in about 12,000 or 13,000 for speed detection equipment that goes for our radar units in the cars as well as the speed signs. So we do have some money in capital still, so we will be buying a few more with our own money, but this is helpful, 2 of them that we're gonna get.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good idea.
I thought they were like $250 a piece. I was
Oh,
No,
like
maybe the
deal.
post is that it says.
yeah, the post.
So we interviewed a couple more certified officers. 2 of them, we started the vetting process. Unfortunately, one of them has withdrawn. He's chosen to actually move out of state, going down to Florida. We have another one that is relatively new in a municipal department. He is within the window of time that we would have to reimburse that municipality for their expenses for the academy. But we were very impressed with this candidate when he came through. So we have our fingers crossed. He'll be going through our process and background in the coming weeks. But we were very impressed, and we hope to see him here in the months to come.
Is he the only one you've got on the...
Right now, that's the only certified officer we have going through the background phases. We are running a recruit drive right now for non-certified officers. Unfortunately, we are feeling the lack of interest that you're seeing in policing across the nation. As of today, we have approximately 50 candidates that have applied, and it closes April 1st. These are historic low numbers. If we want to get two non-certified officers, 50 is not a really a good number to be looking at. We know, washout rates are about 50% in different phases. So if you're a department and you're looking for 6 officers and you're getting 40, not so good. There are some movement up at the Capitol, some legislation that they're trying to enhance recruitment of officers with some incentives. I don't necessarily know if that's going to work, but I consider us a really good department with a wonderful community, and we're seeing these numbers. So again, we're going to keep pushing through. Hopefully we'll be able to get a couple people in the academy, as we go into the late summer. The only other thing I have is a couple letters of recognition. Officer Richardson and Officer Morgan, a town resident here, was in need. They responded and worked with her, and they ultimately made a connection with her to our social worker, Danielle, and she just wanted to write in to...
I didn't get those in my packet.
I didn't either.
Were they mixed in with
We have the legacy.
Kalia report?
I have the legacy.
I had the
That's
legacy.
Mine were
yeah.
at the back. No, they were in the back of the Kalia report.
No.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Sorry.
We also have a letter from the Legacy Theater regarding Officer Clyburn. She's a relatively new officer, but she's doing a great job. There was a patron there that was being a little bit unruly, and she went down there and mediated it and handled it very professionally, and they just wanted to reach out and say that she did it with great professionalism to resolve the situation. One of the other ones which I'm very happy to see, and I thank Sergeant Carney, Officer Sergeant Loftus, and Danielle. They went to the Orchard House and met with some of the people there about scams and safety. And one of our goals for 2023 is we do want to target our elderly population a little bit more. As you know, the scams are increasing. They're getting more more attractive, if that's the word, that, you know, you have a package that didn't get delivered, or, so they're really ramping up these type of scams, and, you know, we really want to try to bring some, you know, greater attention there. So one of our goals for 2023 is to do a little more outreach with our elderly population. And again, Sergeant Carney and Sergeant Loftus and Danielle went out and did a fantastic job. So hopefully you'll see more of that. We want to try to get that front and center. So that was a really good opportunity, and we thank the Orchard House for having us. Other than that, I'll kick it over to the deputy for a quick building update.
So not a lot of change since last month when we met. We did finalize the contracts for the next phases with our architect, Jakunski Humes, and with Downs Construction for the construction manager. So those contracts are signed. That allows us to move into this next phase of design development. So that's what we'll be working on moving forward.
And so we'll be meeting again.
We will be. I'll be working directly with the construction manager and the architect on the next phases, so it won't impact the commission.
Okay, so I don't have to,
No.
okay. All right.
That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
No. Traffic?
Yeah. Okay, the traffic committee met tonight, and under the first request for a crosswalk at the intersection of Indian Neck Avenue and South Monowese, it was the LTA's recommendation that we contact the state to see if it's been on their analysis, so we're going to contact them to see if there's been funding to get the crosswalk put in that area. It was a unanimous recommendation. The second item was Crescent Bluff Avenue. It was a request for no parking sign here to end a cul-de-sac on the grassy strip near the parking spot that's being eliminated. Again, it was a unanimous recommendation that we put in a no parking here to end. And then we had a walk-in, a gentleman concerned about Swift Street and Breezy Avenue. And there was a recommendation to get a sign that said slow down, sharp curve ahead, so it could be put prior to the curve on Swift that's near the West End section. We also agreed to take another ride out there and look around to all of the problem areas. And that
Maybe he'll
was-
go with you.
Could I make
And then
a motion?
wait, I'm not.
Oh,
wait a
I'm
minute.
sorry. Sorry.
Then he also
That
advised
item's
us.
not on the agenda, so it will need to be motion to be added
Oh,
to the
that's
agenda
right. You're right.
when you go to vote.
Okay.
All right.
He also asked for, he advised us that there is a low clearance sign needed on the underpass near the brewery. I forget what, I know exactly where he's talking about, but I don't know what.
The railroad, right?
Yeah, it's the railroad, but is that Meadow Street? Is that?
I think it is.
Yeah, it connects Indian Neck Avenue to Meadow
To Meadow
Street.
Street, okay. All right, so before we bring this to a vote, I guess we have to ask for a motion to include these three items that were not on the agenda.
Okay, I'll make the motion to include the two
Jill,
items.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now that we can include it, is there,
I'd like to make a motion to approve all of the approved items that the traffic committee has recommended.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
That was the end.
Okay. Do we have report of the chair next? And I don't have a report, so it is what it is.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
comment?
motion.
Your public comment?
Public comment.
Ashley?
Hi. Well, I'm not alone. Do you have a question? I'll let you go first. Okay. Hi. So since I'm wearing many hats now with my nonprofit, I've been told whenever I'm on media that I should introduce myself and who I'm representing. So my name is Ashley Fawn, and I am a freelance investigative journalist and ethnographer. And ethnography is the study of human behavior within its culture. So my question is, last month you had, I think it was Sergeant Carangelo here talking about the CALIA program, and that you were going to be certified soon. And then we also brought up that you were going to be certified a few years ago, but pulled out because of financial reasons. Is that something?
No, we had been certified.
You had been certified, okay.
And about 12 years ago, we pulled out of that for financial reasons. It is quite expensive.
Okay, yeah, and because I did some research. Now, what was the period, does anyone know the period of time where that certification didn't exist?
Probably
It's during DeCarlo, right?
2007, don't hold me to that.
Yeah.
It's somewhere, probably 7 or 8, 2007.
Okay.
It was under Chief DeCarlo.
It was under
Yes.
DeCarlo, okay. Because I found a New Haven Independent article written by Marcia Chambers. But I think the only one named on here that's in this room would be the Commissioner Chair Joe Marcus. And it says that under DeCarlo, you were accredited. Do you know if this is?
That's true.
So the period that we were missing the accreditation was during
When
DeCarlo?
when I started,
Okay.
we had just ended, so I started in 2010.
2010, okay. Because the paper trail is difficult to find.
Right.
All right, so you started in 2010. Do you know what month you started?
No.
No, okay. All right, and that is all the questions. Sorry for the timeline. I love history.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Rick, you made a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second? Okay,
Okay.
all in favor? Aye.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.